Welcome to The Big Break Show, a podcast where we discuss short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, life, mindset, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Rafa and Jesse Vasquez.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Big Break Show. We are here at number 30. Jesse, holy crap, 30, man. I can't believe we've made it. We've made it, guys. We're in 30 episodes.
Yep. Just so you know, Rafa, the average person who starts a podcast only runs about 10 episodes. So we're already 3x what the average person's doing. So here's a virtual high five to you, my
buddy.
friend.
High five.
For those of you who can't see this, we just high five.
Only the YouTube audience is going to get to see that.
I know. So if you guys aren't watching on YouTube, get on there and make sure you like and subscribe. But today, you guys, we have Dan, who's actually, I manage one of his properties, and we've actually worked on a deal together over in Texas. And he came from London and started flipping, not really knowing much of anybody here. And this is a story that I like because you can come from another country to this beautiful country that we're in the US, and literally create the life that you want to have. If you put enough work in, you surround yourself with the right people, you educate yourself. And literally that's what he did. He came here and applied all those three things and made things happen. And he's been here for, I think, a few years, right, Rafa? But he's already created a pretty good little book of business for himself and done quite a bit of flips, and has some companies out here that he manages as well.
Yeah, you know, we really do live in one of the greatest countries in the world, right? The opportunity that anybody has here. Like, this dude came from the UK, and now he's got several very successful businesses. So it's kind of cool to see, right? There's like, anybody who's out there thinking like, oh, I can't do this, man, like, there's no excuse. You know, you guys can go out and do anything you put your mind to. Just takes a little bit of work and a little bit of effort. I mean, if this gentleman's able to come out here and grow this awesome business and start this awesome flipping business and doing the wholesale thing and doing like his cleaning business and like just being a beast at real estate, you know, he took advantage of the opportunities he has here. So it's kind of cool to hear his story. I'm excited for everybody to get into it, and hopefully you guys get some value out of it. So without further ado, Jesse, let's get it started, my friend.
Let's go. Dan, what's up, dude? I am so happy to have you on here. For those of you who don't know, Dan and I connected a while back. Him and I worked together on a couple different things. But Dan, what's up, dude? Let us know
How's it going, Jesse, Rafa? Yeah, nice to be here, guys. I appreciate you guys letting me be here. I mean, yeah, we definitely have some good relationship. We do some business together and whatnot, so that's good.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you on here to kind of deep dive into you, man, like what you have going on. You're a big proponent. You like to use other people's money in a lot of sense, and I think that's an area with real estate where a lot of people don't understand. So we can dive into that. But tell us about who you are and what you have going on, and a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah. So my name is Dan Zhukov. I'm originally from London, United Kingdom, as you can tell probably from my accent. But I've been living in the United States for a few years now. And ever since I lived in the UK, I mean, it's a mindset, I think, that I've had there from a young age. Since my parents broke up, I've always wanted to kind of dive into owning something of my own, whether it's a business, whether it's in real estate, whatever it is. I kind of had that from a pretty young age. And when I moved to the United States, we all hear that phrase, the land of opportunity in the United States. And I didn't really understand what it was until I actually moved here, and I realized how you can really scale up with who you know. Not necessarily what you know sometimes, but who you know. And that's what happened with me. As soon as I moved here, it was in a very short period of time where I started scaling up, and then I just got into the industry of real estate investing, and then everything else is history.
That's awesome, man. So like, talk to us a little bit about your childhood growing up in the UK. Dude, first off, if I had that accent, man, like, I think I would have had a totally different life here. Right, Rafa? If we had accents, like, everybody loves accents, man.
I'll be honest, I'm starting to lose it a little bit. Like, I got friends back home that are telling me, hey, you know, in your social media and other stuff, you're starting to say things with an American twang. And then, you know, when I'm reading a book, for example, out loud, you can really hear my British accent. And then sometimes when I'm speaking out loud to someone very quick, maybe even like now, you can sometimes hear me say certain things a little bit different. But that's the same when I speak to you guys. I hear that accent and I'm like, you know what? This is something that I want to try and imitate. I really like the American accent. We all do in London.
We'll just start saying dude all the time and bro, and then you'll fit right in perfectly, right,
Oh
Rafa?
no, it's true.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
what go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, my childhood, like I mean, originally, just being from London, United Kingdom, it was always. I mean, London is a very fast-paced location. So depending on where you live in the United States, it might be similar in some way. Like if you live in New York, for example, it's very fast-paced as well. It's that kind of city life. You can see a lot of people wearing suits and just having businesses, offices, etc. And it's the same in London. And I was raised around that. Um, Back home, honestly, it's a lot of things are expensive. A lot of things in London are expensive when it comes to even real estate or affordability for things. Um, and my family, we kind of just my parents necessarily didn't have the best, you could say, opportunities. That we weren't from a well-off. I wasn't from a well-off family situation, so it was almost where I had to kind of make it happen in some areas. So I personally started working at a younger age than officially even possible in the UK. It was minor things. It was maybe like paper rounds. It was cleaning people's houses for window cleaning. It was car washes and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So maybe that kind of led to why I had a cleaning business, and then I moved to the US and carry that on as well, and I had that kind of drive to potentially make something happen with real estate investing, with fix and flipping homes or even owning rentals. So yeah, but other than that, my you could say my upbringing not the not the greatest. I mean, I speak Russian fluently, read, write, and speak it. I can speak Farsi to some extent, more or less from my dad's side, like Persian, English, bit of Spanish, So it's just something where I wouldn't say I have such an exotic background or like an upbringing. But when I came to the US, I feel like that's when a lot of things changed in a very short period of time.
That's awesome, man. I gotta ask you a question. When you came here, like, was it difficult for you when you first got here to get acquainted with everything and kind of like adjust to the entire? Because is it a different lifestyle change?
Very. I mean, once again, United States is so big, right? So depending on where I would have moved to the United States, if I would have moved to New York, maybe it wouldn't be as much of a difference, right? Because of like the whole city life and buildings and whatnot. But like California, you've got ocean, you've got mountains, palm trees, the weather, the climate is so different. The same with maybe somewhere in the central of the part of America, like maybe Texas and so on. Every state is like almost its own little country. So when I moved here, it was very like my body clock. It took some time to change to that. For the food, getting used to food, getting used to just sceneries. Even in California, in the wintertime, you can be in the mountains in the snow, and then at the end of the day, you can be in the ocean where it's heat, and that messed up. It messed with my mind. So it definitely took some adjusting. But I actually started visiting America, California to be specific. I started visiting back in like 2013, 14, and I loved it so much. When I came here for the first time with a friend for 2.5 weeks, we realized how genuinely we thought this is like in the movies, like this is what people live in, like this kind of climate. We loved it so much, we came back the following year for a longer period of time, and every year after that carried on doing that, meeting more people, networking, connecting with more people, and eventually I decided that California is the place where I kind of want to move to for good, and that's what happened, and I moved here a few years ago officially.
Nice, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like you jump and ship like that, like you're just leaving one place to another. So, all right. So that leads me to what happened when you got here. Like, what did you start doing? Because I know that you're in real estate now, but I know you got a couple other side businesses. So, like, what happened when you got here? Rafa talked about you getting acquainted with the elements and the stuff of the city here, and you're over in Los Angeles or in Orange County. So what is it like? Like, how did you get involved in? What are you doing now? First off, and how does that feed into your real estate? How did you get involved in real estate? So let's kind of break into that.
Yeah, I mean, when I moved here, initially, I started doing what I was doing back home, which I had a window cleaning company. I moved out here, kind of thought I'll start the same. I know in Southern California with the sun shining all the time, it was kind of lucrative as well. So I got into that, and I realized how quick I scaled up. What it took me to make in two years in UK took me 4 months to reach the same monthly like income in the US. And I was shocked. I was thinking, goodness me, like this is almost effortless. Like, how is this possible? People are ready to pay larger amounts. And actually, I was underquoting many of the times, and I thought I was doing good. But people were telling me, oh, you're charging too cheap. And I was like, wow, this is insane. So that really kind of helped me get to the point of other goals that I had to reach much quicker. But ever since I was around 8 years old, this is back in England, I used to watch a show before going to school with my father, and it was called Homes Under the Hammer. So it's basically an hour show that shows 3 investors fix and flip a property. And my most favorite part of the show was at the end, where they say, after they've renovated it, what their profits would be if they sold it, or what they would be able to make from renting it. And I used to love to hear, like, were they going to break even? Are they going to make more? Are they going to, like, maybe lose out a little bit? And I used to always watch that. And I said to myself, and this was me being very young, I was about 8 years old. And I said, I want to grow up and I want to do something like this. I didn't understand what it entails or what was involved with doing it. But just the way they made it seem on the show was so easy, right? So I said I wanted to do that. Obviously, life hit me in a different way for a few years. I went into high school, college, etc. But when I came to the US, I realized the amount of people I'm connecting with that are telling me that they either own something or they are already in real estate. And for me, that was very like a different conversation, because back home, not many, especially of my generation, not many can own something anymore because everything's getting so expensive, right? And so when I heard that many people own something here, I thought, wow, like, let me start kind of tasting the waters, trying to try it out and see, like, what can I learn from it. So I started learning from people, getting information, trying to do my own research. And that's one thing that you could say I learned from mistakes by doing it like that, trying to learn it myself. And but that's kind of where I've always wanted to get into real estate. And now that the opportunity presented itself in the United States through the people I was connecting with, that's when I kind of took that leap of faith, or that step, that hard step, to make sure I can make something happen with it. And that's how I got into real estate investing, into the industry.
Okay, would you mind talking about your first deal that you did in real estate? Like, how did it look? What was your approach to it? Like, how did you make the whole thing happen?
So it's interesting, because before knowing how to flip homes using none of my own money, like literally, which is what I focus on now, right? Fixing and flipping homes using $0 of my personal money. Before that, I had friends who were fixing and flipping for many years and were using part of their own capital. So I was, in a position to potentially make something like that happen. So I started learning from them. I even told them, hey, can you just show me how it's done? And even the profits on the first property, I'll just give it all to you. I just want to know the process. And I realized how hard that actually became to be, where I actually broke even on one of my deals. Then another one, I made a small amount of profit, but for the amount of work that was involved, it was almost not worth it. So like, I was kind of learning the harder way by trying to do it myself, or just asking people, without investing into anything that taught you how to do it. And that is when I actually invested in mentorships. And I'm a type of person who was trying to learn by myself. But like, I was thinking, is this really possible? I'm going to pay, sometimes it's thousands of dollars, a lot of money to pay for something that I don't know if it's going to work. So I kind of had that feeling in my stomach where I'm excited, but I was also nervous. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to just try it. There's no harm in trying. You learn from your mistakes, if anything. So let's just go for it. So I learned from mentors how to fix and flip. And that's when I learned how to fix and flip using none of my own money, right? Obviously, just backtracking slightly, on my very first deal, before I even knew how to do that, we found a property with my friends or connections that I have who were experienced. They told me, hey, Dan, look, this is a property that we're about to buy. This is the purchase price. This is the renovation that's going to go into it. And this is the resale value. This is how much we need to come in with if you want to make it happen. Do you want to do it? I kind of thought about it over a few days and I said, let's do it. And then when we all kind of put our money together, we flipped it, made a little bit of a profit. Back then, my profits were maybe 10, 15,000 based on the capital that I was bringing in, which was about 50,000. But now, without using any of my own money and fixing and flipping properties, one flip can make 50,000 to 150,000 without using any of my own money. So it obviously makes sense now to do what I do the way I do it, instead of how I used to do it with my friends before.
Got it. Okay. So I love that. I got a couple questions. Your first deal, was it here in SoCal?
Actually, no, it wasn't. My first deal was actually remote. It was in Southern California. It was in more or less, it was like Fresno area. But that was a property that I actually never seen in person. It was managed by people that I know. They went ahead, they were doing everything. My money was just being put to work, you could say, instead of it sitting in the bank doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So do I call myself an investor at that point? Yeah, an investor, but not real estate, not really like a fix and flip investor. I didn't feel like I was a fix and flip investor. I could have maybe said that to people, to maybe sound great. Oh, I'm a fix and flip investor. But really, I had nothing, like I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know what the process was. Now I would say I'm a fix and flip investor because now I teach that process to others as well. And that's exactly what I do. But now I do that in all different markets all over the US. Actually, most of my projects are in different states.
Got it. Yeah. So you were pretty much a private money lender in the beginning, right? With your 50 grand that you started with.
Yeah, exactly. Basically.
Okay. And then so from that first deal, I want to talk a little bit about the using other people's money, because a lot of people that I talk to in real estate, everybody says, oh, it's very difficult to get people. And, in order to get private money and to get other people's money, you kind of have to plant that seed with everybody, right? You can't be the desperate guy at the last minute trying to ask and borrow money, because you're going to look desperate and no one's going to want to lend you that money, because then it just makes it seem like a risk. I want to talk about your process on that side of things a little bit. Everybody that you use their money from, like other people's money that you're borrowing or taking on as investments, was it people that did deals prior with you? So as you started scaling, now they just trust you? Or how did it from the beginning? Like, if you can explain the process, how did it start off when you first started asking for other people's money to how it is now?
Yeah, it was actually a mix of everything. It was a bit of a mix of both as well. So there were some people that were partnering up with me who I did, that knew me, that could trust me, that they were, I already knew them as a friend. It wasn't just someone random. But I also do have people that I've never met in my life, and through social media. If it wasn't for what I do with social media, with just posting my projects and before and afters, I don't think I would have ever got those clients. But because they see my progress and they see like, okay, this is genuine. Like when he posts these projects, and some of these projects, some people DM me and say, hey, Dan, that property that you just listed that you're about to sell, that one's down my road. I literally live on the same street as you in whatever state it was. And they were following me. I'm not sure if it's based on algorithms, because they sometimes, based on some searches, stuff start coming up on people's social media. Maybe it was something like that came up that kind of made them follow me because of something that was happening in that location where they live. But they started watching me over a period of time. And then they say, okay, Dan, like, you know what? I've got money sitting in the bank doing nothing. Or I've got money under the mattress just waiting for a rainy day. Like, how can I invest it? And I tell them, look, there's different ways. If you want to become a fix and flip investor, you can either, and I start showing them the process, you can either start fixing and flipping, or you can invest in a mentor to teach you how to do it so that you don't use your own money. Or you can just, if you're busy with your own career or anything, you can go and invest that money with someone like me or other investors and put that money to work, And yeah, so to answer your question, basically, I have a mix of different lenders. Some are people that I personally know, and some are people that I've never actually met, and it works out for both. Some people actually get to the point where they become not only just like a small lender where they just provide you some of the funds, they get to the point where they see returns on the first flip, second flip, third flip. They're like, okay, maybe I can start being a general bank to them, because some people have $5 million in the bank, and for them, that's pocket change sometimes. So they might be like, hey, you know what, Dan? I love that we've made so many deals happen together. How can I make more on my return? Can I give you a line of credit? Let me give you $2 million, and you can use that $2 million, and we just have our contracts in place and stuff. And now, instead of me using another bank that will charge me more fees, I can start negotiating one-on-one, and it makes the process easier. I can own a home in 3 days with that process. So it takes off. It starts off slowly, but as experience goes on and whatnot, that's when people start. The process gets easier, because now money gets thrown your way almost, because you show your progression and what you're doing. I'm kind of showing it with social media. Once again, if I didn't do that, people wouldn't know what I do, so it would be much harder, I'd say.
Love it.
Cool, man. Yeah, I got a question, Dan. So how many deals did it take for you before people were starting to give you money? First off, like how many did you do in order, like, for somebody to be like, here's 50K or whatever.
Well, you know what's interesting is that when I was already asking for people to partner up with me, I didn't even have anything on social media yet. I was already doing some things, but I wasn't really on social media. Even now to this day, sometimes I'm like, I'm not that camera type person. Like I'm just rather just keep it to myself. So at the time, the people that were partnering up with me, they didn't even know how many deals I was doing. It was just the way I had to approach them. Like literally, instead of just like Rafa mentioned earlier, and sometimes if you just approach someone randomly and just say, "Hey, I need like 50 grand for a deal," people are gonna say no, even if it's your family member most of the time. Like if you approach in the right way, maybe literally the way you converse with them or speak to them can really turn around 360 the way they're gonna come back to you. So like with me, if I speak to just anyone that I know that might have some funds, I kind of let them know in the conversation. I'll say, I actually help others make a return on their investment. Like they partner up on deals with me, they partner up. I don't say I don't make it sound like they're just borrowing me the money. I actually make them feel like a partner, like they are in the industry of real estate investing. So I literally tell them, like, do you want to be, invested in real estate in an asset that can give you a great return? Partner up with me on this deal. And then I show them the investment proposal. I show them the deal. I show them the numbers. I break down everything. I show them images of the home, and I just give them the choice. I say, hey, I'm not like persistent. I'm not like, hey, do it. Please do it. Please do it. I kind of let them, that's how I feel inside. I feel like I want to be like that. But really, when I speak to them, I say, hey, this is the deal. If this is something you want to be in, involved with, let me know and we can partner up together. It will all be secured with contracts, so your money will be safe, putting them at ease. And I let them speak. I let them kind of take a few days to think about it. And usually they reach out back to me saying, hey, you know what, Dan? Yeah, I've got 50,000. It's not doing anything for the past 5 years, and it's actually losing value because of inflation. If you're going to be able to make me 10 grand from the 50, so I'm giving them back 60, let's do it. And they don't even need to see my previous projects. It's all more or less how you approach it and show that you know what you're doing. So at first, I had people partner up with me without me having to actually show them any projects that I ever did. So that it really does work. You'll be surprised. I didn't think that was possible. And I obviously learned that from my mentor. He told me how to converse with these people, how to have conversations with them, like what to say. And that's exactly what kind of, when I took that step, even though I was nervous in the first conversation, when I took that step, I was shocked to see how people have money that you never expected to have money. I've spoken to people before that I literally thought they don't have money. That's what I thought. But they're like, hey, you know what, Dan? Like I see, now they're telling me, for example, I see what you're doing, and I have $300,000, and what should I do with it? And I'm thinking, in my head, I'm thinking, you got $300,000, and I would have never expected it, right? But if I didn't ask that question to them, I would have never known. So now everywhere I go, no matter what I do, I always network with people. If I'm going to a restaurant and I'm at a bar and I can speak to someone, I kind of let them know, like, hey, like I start a conversation somehow, and I kind of ask them what they do. They ask me what I do, and kind of like plant the seed and then go from there. And all you need is 2 or 3 lenders, and you can be doing 10s and 20 deals at a time. You find the right people. It doesn't require much people to make it happen.
The other day I was at we had a meetup down here in SoCal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesse came down, and just from me talking at this meetup, somebody that didn't expect comes up to me and he goes, hey, that was interesting. And I've known this person forever. How can I invest with you? And I was like, so it's 100% true what you say. You never know who's interested, who wants to do it. Like there's never coming with any expectations in your mind, right? Always coming with a blank slate with everybody you meet, regardless if you've known that person for years or you just met them 10 seconds ago.
100%.
You never know what everybody has behind them. I have friends that have invested with me that I've known since high school that I never thought would even be interested in doing it, right? And so, yeah, absolutely. I love that, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like now with technology, we can use it to our advantage in many ways. And once again, social media, even though I don't like sometimes maybe being on it, even though I have to because of what I do, you'll be surprised now how many people DM me and say, hey, Dan, like I see you doing all these projects. Like, can I partner up with you? And that's just by me showing what I do without even reaching out to them, So it's all about who you know, I realize. And even though people say that kind of phrase of who you know instead of what you know gets solidifies itself even more and more as time goes on in anything you do, So I feel like it's very important to network, very important to kind of get out what you do, let people know what you do, And it makes you look more legitimate, because if you come up to someone randomly and ask for some money, they might think you're scamming them, and that's so big these days. So you really want to kind of show exactly what you do, have a proven track record, and then it just really kind of makes your life easier as well.
Yeah, the power of social media, man, 100%.
Yeah.
Every time somebody like, I have friends too, same thing, or like even people that I like do work with in real life, and then they don't follow me on Instagram, and they go to my Instagram and then they add me, and then next time I see them, they're like, dude, I had no idea you did any of that stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just talk about what I do on social media. And it's like, how can I get started, or what can I do? Or, and it gets the ball rolling with a lot of different people, and you start building a lot of relationships. It's just kind of crazy if you think about it. What's that saying where they say like, we're only 8 people away from being connected to everybody else in the world or something like that?
Correct.
Right. And I trip out on that sometimes, because I'll talk to somebody who, that one person happens to be really good friends with this one other person that somebody's been talking about really like crazy about. And I'm like, wait, I know that person who knows that person. How can we connect and make something happen between all of us? And it happens all the time, right? Like, it's crazy. Like Alvin, right? Jesse, Aaron was on the podcast with us. We had a guy here who came on the podcast who happens to know this other guy that I've been in communication with for years. We became friends, and he's an investor. And I'm like, dude, we all know each other. Like, it's kind of crazy. So yeah, man, the power of relationships and the power of networking, social media, it's insane. Like, it's one of the reasons why we started doing the podcast, and why we started posting a lot on Instagram and Facebook and the Facebook groups and everything, because you never know who's out there, and you never know who you might inspire, who you might be able to help out, who might be able to help you, right? I've gotten a lot of people to help me grow my business and scale it drastically. I mean, drastically, due to the influence I have with those people around me. Investors come to me and they offer buildings to me now. And everybody's like, well, that's because it's you. Well, no, that's it. Exactly. It is because of me. But I started as a regular dude talking about this with one apartment. And now, because that one person heard me, who told another person, who came and talked to me, who told another person, now I'm like, right?
Yeah. And
so yeah, absolutely, man. I love it.
I think it's important to also, like, it can be hard for some people. Some people are a bit more shy or introverted, but it's very important to kind of learn or be able to get out of your comfort zone, to take that initial step to speak to people. Because at the end of the day, you might be one step away from even being connected to someone who can like change your life. But unless you initiate that conversation, it might not happen, So that's another thing. Like, I didn't used to go everywhere I go and try and connect with people or speak to them. But now it's almost like it's second nature almost. Every time I walk into a place, I'm always already looking around, like kind of just saying, maybe I can go speak to that person there. Even if I'm with friends, if I can go and offer them a drink, like, oh, can I get you this drink? And then just get into a conversation. Like, it's just, I didn't used to do that before. Now I do, especially with what I'm doing. It benefits me and it helps me more as well. So I definitely think that's important too, to try and get your name out there.
I got another funny story about this. So about a month ago, Dan, I was I flew out to a mastermind in Charlotte, and it was long story short, I got stuck without a rental car. So I needed to take an Uber, and it was a 2-hour Uber ride. And so I jump in this Uber, this guy picks me up, and Jesse, I think I might have told you this story.
Yeah, you ended up in the trunk, right?
This guy picks me up. Bro, why do you always got to go up dark? No, I didn't end up in the trunk. So this guy picks me up, and that was funny. And so, dude, okay, so the first 45 minutes, it's awkward and it's just quiet. Uber drivers don't really want to talk to you. I'm like trying to do work on the computer. I get a phone call, and it's like a 10-minute phone call. Somebody called me about a deal, and we started going over the numbers, and I'm just talking on the phone, like a regular conversation. I get off the phone, and the first thing this guy does is he looks up at the rearview mirror, and he goes, bro, are you a real estate investor? What do you do? You do short-term rentals? And I'm like, yeah. The entire next hour and a half was him nonstop talking to me the entire time. How can he get involved?
Yeah.
What can he do? He wants to learn. Gave me his number, and I'm like, it came from one tiny conversation that he overheard in the back seat, right?
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe I'll do something with this guy. But I thought it was funny because it's true. Like, when people hear you, I would never think to connect to like anybody, right? And then you start talking about it, and somebody hears you, and you might inspire the right person, or you might get something going.
Yeah, and these stories can go endless, because like, honestly, like there's been a situation, because I have a cleaning business still to this day. We still have it because I started that when I moved here, and I have clients in Orange County as well. Some of them are known in just media industry, or some of them are even celebrity status. And one of my clients, I just know he made a lot of money from Bitcoin, like a lot of money from Bitcoin, right? And he just knows us providing cleaning services for him. But at this point, I've already flipped so many properties, and I'm already heavily invested in that. So then even during COVID, he was asking, oh, so how's your cleaning business? Like, how did it, did it get affected or anything? I was like, you know what? It got affected in one area, but in the other area, it didn't really, because now you have to disinfect everything. This was when it just started. So there was other services we could provide. But I said, you know what? This is not actually my main source of income. And I just left it at that. And he was just like, what is your main source of income? What else do you do? I was like, actually, I'm a real estate investor. I fix and flip homes. He goes, what? He goes, I always look for people like you where I can put my money in with them. When can I invite you to my house to have dinner? So me and my wife went. We were the ones that were dragging out the meal, like not dragging out the appointment. We actually canceled it twice because it was so busy. And we ended up having that meal at their house. A month later, 3 days later, they actually partnered up with one of our deals. And like, it's just crazy. Like, just from a few words that were exchanged, and that's it, you know? So the power of networking is unreal when you use it right.
Yeah. Well, Dan, you and I connected because I talked to a realtor, and I was like, hey, what investors do you know that are in the market? Like, who do you think I'd connect with just from me, connecting with you? And she's like, well, there's this guy, Dan. And I was like, well, do you mind giving me his number? She's like, well, I'm going to reach out to him and ask him first. And that's when I connected with you, and you probably thought I was pitching you, man. You probably thought I was full of shit. And
at first, I remember like dragging out that phone call a few times, kind of like, because I was busy as well, and I was thinking, like, oh, is this going to be one of them ones where I have to do this or that? And then now I was bothering you after that. I was like, hey, Jesse, sorry, I got another question. And now we're doing things together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean,
dude, it's funny, Jesse, to jump in on it. Yeah. It's funny how we always, like, everybody has like a preset, like, notion, or like a preset, like, the word it's blanking, but where you have this mentality of how you think it's going to go.
Right.
Right. I get investors all the time where they're like blowing me up. And it's like, oh, it's probably just like another person on Instagram, or just like another person who's going to like ask me some random question. And I'm like, man. And then you end up having one small, and you're like, can I talk to you now? And you're the one chasing that person. It happens all the time. It's funny how that works. Sorry, Jesse, go ahead, man.
No, I was just going to say one tidbit for everybody listening right now. If you're in the short-term rental space or anything, talk to a realtor and say, hey, what investors do you think I can connect with? Like, you can get 3 names from, how many real estate agents are there in the world, or like literally in our markets right now? You just get a hold of 3 agents and you just ask them, hey, who's like really connected with that's an investor? Do you mind if I call them? Can I get their information? I want to talk to them about what I have going on. Like, literally, that's all it took for Dan and I to meet. Random, middle of nowhere, no conversation. And now, like I said, we're doing deals together and stuff. So
yeah, it's true. And through networking, for people that is the best references. Even if you are legitimate and you're trying to sell something online, it will work with the right marketing maybe. But when you hear it from someone who knows someone, then it becomes more like, okay, this is definitely legit, because my friend's not going to do this to me or screw me over or tell me it's not, you know what I mean? So it's all about trying to, network and connect with the right people.
Yeah, totally agree, man. So I know we kind of sidetracked a little bit. So let's just dive into this real quick. So for everybody listening right now, Dan, like, how does somebody get to use other people's money? Like, what would be like 3 things that you would suggest for somebody to start doing today? Because most of our people that listen to us are, newer, getting involved, and we have some seasoned investors as well. But for those that are getting involved in this, like, what would be the 3 things that they could do right now?
Well, I mean, to use none of your own money when you are going to invest in real estate, whether it's to own a rental or whether it's to fix and flip. I mean, there are different processes to do it. Now, the best, most effective way that I know, or the way I even share and teach with others, I mean, you would have to use lenders that provide those funds, right? And you can find lenders that will provide 100% of it, but that does take work and effort at the beginning. Sometimes you might be very fortunate to find that straight away, but a lot of the times it doesn't happen like that. It requires you to find the first lender and then build a relationship with them, and then find a second lender, build a relationship with them. And these lenders can end up being a single lender just on the whole deal at times. Now, to find these lenders, there's many ways to do it. There's different tactics to find them. It's not that easy to just explain it, to be like, this is how you need to do it. And that's actually one of the reasons why mentorships exist, so that people can learn from a mentorship program, because they are specifically dedicating that time, because even an hour won't be enough to explain how to do that. Like, just in my course that I have, the module that teaches about OPM, how to find other people's money, is 19 videos, right? That in itself will take someone about a week to watch, to understand everything that you need to know about them, so that you don't just approach someone and be like, yeah, I just need your money. Like we spoke of, like Rafa mentioned earlier as well, I need your money. No one's going to give you money when it comes to that. But there's a way to kind of prepare your conversations. There's a way to actually be prepared yourself. The requirements that they might ask from you. Once you have that in place, everything gets smoother. So I would say, I know you mentioned 3, but I would say the very first thing someone should really do if they want to use other people's money is to learn from someone who has done it before. Whether it's someone that they know personally or whether it's someone that online, if they find a mentor that will teach them how to do it, they will legitimately be able to, because with mentorships are always, they always come at a fee. Most of the time, I mean, I don't really know many mentorships that are free, right? Most of the time, you have to pay for it. And if you're going to be paying for something, you're obviously going to be receiving value because you're paying for a product. You're going to receive some sort of value if you do your research right. Because there are programs out there, you're paying for it, and you can find that information on the internet. So that's a waste of your money. But there are mentorships out there that include things that genuinely it's impossible to find online. Otherwise, these mentorships won't be selling, because people would be finding all that information online. And they'll be saying, oh, well, if you can fix and flip properties using none of your own money, if it's that easy, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, not everyone's doing it because they don't know how to. But now when you learn from someone who has done it many times, and there are many mentorships out there that exist that teach you how to do that, that's when you'll be able to really kind of dive in to not using any of your own money. And that's what's interesting. I have people that always either through Instagram or either through my team or either through like my advertisements where they say, is it really possible to fix and flip using 100% of none of your own money? And then they still ask the question, so how much will I have to come in with? I'm like, we just discussed, you don't have to use any of your own money. When I say $0, I'm literally showing you $0 of your own money to do it. They're like, but why isn't everyone doing this? Well, because many people just don't know that there's a whole step-by-step process to do it. And that's the best advice I can give someone to learn. And even if they want to try and learn it themselves, because they online, more or less, there are things that can teach them, but there will be times when mistakes might happen if they try and do it themselves. And the reason why I know that is because I was certain that I won't make mistakes if I tried to do it myself, and I made mistakes. And I still didn't even manage to do it with my own money until I actually learned from a mentor. And the moment I learned from a mentor, within 4 months, I made about 8 times the amount of what the mentorship program cost in 4 months. I started scaling up because now money wasn't an issue to me. I can take on as many deals as I want now because I don't have to leverage my own income, my own finances. And that's the only thing that kind of boosted me. So if someone wants to learn how to do that or kind of scale up themselves, it's not a get rich quick industry, definitely not. But if someone wants to put the work and effort, but also make enough income from it in a pretty short period of time compared to other careers out there, then doing it without using any of your own money can really set people up in a certain way where it can set up generational wealth, it can set up their families, it can give them the life that they want, travel. And with technology these days, you can do it from anywhere in the world. Even when I was in London in August last year, I had 15 projects happening at the same time while I was in the UK. And I was working just because I had Wi-Fi from my email sometimes, but I was able to be there. And I realized if I actually moved back to London and lived there, I could be still doing that there,
One of the big things with that too is you got to be able to provide some kind of value, right? You can't just come, for somebody who's new, they can't just come in and go, hey, I'm thinking of getting into fix and flips. What do you think? Can I use some of your money and get $100,000 to get this project going? When I find a project, I'm going to look at you and be like, dude, you're insane. No, you got to add some kind of value behind it. Either get the mentor and know what you're doing, right? Number 2, find a banging deal. If you come to me with a banging deal and you go, man, Rafa, look, I have this property. I'm going to pick it up for 400. This is how much we're putting into it for rehab. Here's the ARV. We're putting this much aside for contingencies. What do you think? And I look at it and I like the numbers. And I'm like, yo, yeah, how much money you need? Well, I don't have much of it, but I'm working on it right now, right? You plant the seed, talking to a couple of people, see who wants to invest with me. Yeah. And if I think it's a good deal, I'm gonna be like, yo, I'll cover the 100% of the cost.
Yeah.
How much is it? I'll give you whatever you need, right? Or, okay, I'll go in for the down payment. How are you figuring out the lending? What's the time frame on this, right? You got to bring something to the table from the beginning in order for anybody to want to work with you with their money. No one in this world will give you money unless it's a relative or mom and dad who really, really count on you and trust on you.
Yep.
Right? And trust you, because Otherwise, you're risking a lot for someone else, right? Everybody needs to be responsible when taking on other people's money. Sometimes I don't like taking on other people's money because I know the risks involved.
Yeah.
And I get people offering me money all the time, and it's like, dude, I don't want to do it because I know the potential of it. Unless I know it's a home run deal or it's a 100% certainty that I can do something with this. And that's one of the things I want people to understand and to really gather it, right? What kind of value you bring in, whether it's your time, whether it's the deal, whether it's the money itself, there's got to be something involved in order for you to work with someone else for other people's money.
Yeah, and what's interesting as well, like, you touched on this briefly, but if someone comes to someone and asks for money and they're not showing any value, that like, okay, what you coming with, like, to the table? What are you coming with, right? If you take someone's mentorship and you invested your money into someone, the fact that you already invested into their program and you still might not have any experience, you become their partner. If I take a course of Ed Milet, Bobby Castro, if I learn from, Patrick McDavid, if I invested in their course and I pay for it, I can officially basically call myself their partner because I've invested in them and they are my mentor. So now if I now come to someone without even experience and I tell them, well, I was mentored by so-and-so, or I actually invested in a mentorship program, you already, or you can even say, I didn't invest in their program. You can say, I'm partners with so-and-so who's, in this industry, who does it all the time. That already kind of sets you off in a position where, like, okay, well, you're coming to the table with something, So I feel like that's important. And your point about, if a deal is great, in this industry, one of the most important things, and something that I teach very heavily, is that you make your money when you buy, right? So if you buy at the right price and you show these numbers to someone that you want to partner up with, you will tell them, look, I've got 2 exit strategies for you. If we buy this at this price, and even if we buy at a higher price, and I literally tell people, if I buy at a higher price, it might still make it a deal, but I'm going to back away from the deal. I'm not going to do it unless we get it at this price. So if I get it at this price, do you want to partner up with me? And I show them what the exit will be. I'll be like, look, if we buy at this price, if we flip it, this is what we'll walk away with. This is how much money we'll walk away with. If we, for whatever reason, can't sell it, like something happens, or something happened with renovation and the buyers just don't like the way the closet is too small in the master bedroom or something like that, something stupid like that, then look, if we refinance the property, this is what we'll be able to do by renting it. But that all comes down to what I purchased it at. Because if I purchased it for 50 grand more than the price I'm showing you right now, it might still work as a fix and flip, but it might not work as a rental now. Right? So when I break it down like that to someone, they're like, oh my goodness, so this is a win-win situation, basically. Sign me up, So it's really important. Yeah, I think that's important for...
And not only that too, Dan, you look like you know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? You have all this to present them. If you don't have any of that, they're going to be like, dude, do you even know what you're doing? Like, you haven't even ran numbers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You want to look like you know what you're the expert here. You're the one that's doing the deal. You got to be the expert.
Yep. And actually, if someone who has no experience, and people that are listening right now, this is interesting, if you have no experience, but you learn from a mentor how to do what I just basically said, and you now approach it like that, you can even have a script from a mentor to practice this, looking in the mirror, practice how to say it the right way. When you do approach someone for money and you explain it to them like that, and you show them an investment proposal with all the numbers, if you do that, then people will genuinely, might not even ask you, hey, so how many deals have you done? Just by the way you were speaking to them, they'll be like, your experience, you know what you're doing. And they'll want to partner up with you. So that's another reason why investing in a mentor, whoever that may be, if you do the right research on that mentor and you can see that they are making it happen the right way, that will, once again, fast track you. Just,
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So how are you finding your deals right now then, Dan? And how many do you have going on at this moment?
So currently right now, the way I find deals is I network with wholesalers and realtors. So I like them to try and do the legwork for me, you could say, to do all the work on the back end, to throw me some deals and then I analyze them. And one of the ways where I actually physically spend my own time sometimes doing it, or with my virtual assistants, is finding them online, using platforms like Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com. And actually, about 80% of the deals that I've ever done, and the ones that I even hold right now, have been because I found them myself, not because a realtor or a contractor sent them. Most off-market deals, yes, they come from wholesalers or realtors. But I also have many deals that were listed on the market that were available for anyone to see. And I found them myself, or with my virtual assistants, the way I train them to do it, to find them online, literally on platforms like Redfin. You know, you can literally go on Redfin right now, and as long as you find out what homes are selling for in a specific neighborhood, now you know what you can be offering on properties. And if one pops that way, you can start making numbers work. Potentially, you can do things to make the deal work. You can do lowball offers. You'll be surprised. Sometimes people look at a house, and if you need to get it at 200,000 and it's 300,000, they'll be like, "Oh, yep, let's move on to another neighborhood." I don't do that. I actually go ahead and I'm like, well, I can maybe still try and make this happen. So I go and I now start doing a bit more investigating. I kind of try and I throw about 150 offers a month minimum. And out of those 150, that's a lot of work in terms of a lot of offers going in. But out of those 150, maybe 20 get accepted. Out of those 20, I go under contract, and maybe 10 of them or 15 of them I back out from during my option period, right? Those 5 that I have might be the ones that I actually close on. Sometimes it might be 3. On average, it's about 3 to 5 properties per month that we are actively trying to purchase or make the deal work. Sometimes when I say in that 3 to 5, sometimes it can be a wholesale deal. So it could be that instead of backing out, I couldn't make it work, I can still walk away with some money. Instead of making 80 grand in the flip, I can still make 5 to 10 grand by wholesaling to another investor who can maybe make that number work, because maybe they themselves are a contractor, because I'm not a contractor, but the investor that I might be giving it to might be a contractor, and his rehab might be 50 grand less than what mine was being bid at everywhere every contract I speak to. So it can still work for someone else if the deal doesn't work for you. And that's how I look for properties. Most of the time is online or using wholesalers and realtors.
Got it. How many active properties are you working on right now?
Right now, we have 13 projects actively. One of them we've just listed on Monday to resell. And we're about to close on another one, which is actually my first project 5 minutes from where I live. I live here in Orange County. It's a project right next to Disneyland. It's Garden Grove, Anaheim area. And we're closing on it on Tuesday officially. The appraisal come back yesterday, and we were like pumped. It came back more than we expected, which is great. So we're pumped about that, because and that's something that I want to even talk to you about. You know, it has a pool, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I mean, not sure how it comes to renting, but because of restrictions and whatnot sometimes, but it's a good location, and we're kind of looking forward to that project. And it's close to home, because most of my flips, as you know, Jesse, most of our flips are in different parts of the United States. I flip remotely. So there's some properties that I've flipped that I've never even been to the state in my life. And that's the power of technology again. It's because I've been, you can use FaceTime, you can FaceTime your realtors, your contractors, people that go to the property. You don't have to physically be there. But this project that we have here is one that I'll probably be hands-on quite a bit, just for, content and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Got you. What states are you in right now? Like, where are you finding the best deals or the best cash on cash for your dollar? What is that looking like?
So right now, or just in general, the states that I've in total have done something in has been Texas, California, it has been Oregon, New Jersey, and Florida. I would say Florida, Texas, honestly, the best markets. Like even New Jersey, the prices in New Jersey are probably the lowest I have from any market that I'm in. New Jersey is probably the lowest priced properties, but Texas and Miami, Florida, Tampa and Miami locations to be specific, Texas and Florida, they are locations where housing can look, it might be a little bit more higher price in certain areas, but they just look like beautiful houses. Like sometimes I look to myself and I'm thinking, why am I still in California? Like for the price of what is in California, in some other markets, it's pretty insane. So I feel like those are the main markets that I'm in.
Yeah, you won't be in California forever. I'm sure you'll end up in like Texas or something at some point. I think.
Oh man, but being from London, I don't know, man. Like it's the big thing that holds me is the weather here. Just being close to the ocean, 15-minute drive to the ocean to me is something that I've dreamt of when I lived in London. Like I want to be at the beach all the time. I want to be at the beach. I want to be at the ocean. So being around here, it's a big thing.
I was down there in SoCal with Rafa over the weekend, and he used to tell me like, "Oh, I'm only 10 minutes from the beach," and I'm like, "Bullshit." And literally, it's only 10 minutes from the beach. I thought you were just fluffing, Rafa. But yeah, man, it's close. It's beautiful down there. It really is. It's not cheap. I mean, it's expensive as hell. But I mean, that's the price you pay when you're, in LA, Orange County area. That's just the nature of the beast. So
I feel like a lot of California in general, huh? It's
yeah. Well, there's pockets that are not too expensive. And I've like kind of dove in the numbers before. Like Central California is still pretty cheap compared to like, San Francisco and Los Angeles and San Diego. There's pockets here and there that make sense. But again, finding the deals is the hard part. So yeah, that's the hard part. So you're using wholesalers now. You're running a lot of MLS. It sounds like you're scrubbing through the MLS to kind of see what's out there that's still available. So those of you listening right now, you don't have to find a deal off market or from a wholesaler. You can find deals on the market. Analyzing numbers. So how do you analyze numbers? Like what's that real quick so we can get into that, and then we'll kind of close out this segment. So what do you do how do you analyze numbers? What's your thoughts going into that?
I mean, to know what I can offer on a property, I always, when I look into a neighborhood, especially if it's a new neighborhood, I need to find what other homes that have been renovated already, what they're selling for. So I need to find that ARV value. So it's almost working backwards. Once I know what that ARV figure is, like what those houses are selling for, let's just say it's 500,000, right? I have to, just from quick calculations, I basically do the 70% rule. The reason why I like to mention that to anyone I speak to is because 70% rule is something that people show on social media. You can go online right now and be like 70% rule and it'll tell you what it is, right? You find 70% of that, so 350 grand, and then you remove renovations. So let's just say you remove 50 grand from renovations. I need to make sure that I get that property at no more than 300,000 to make sure that I make my minimum profit, right? Now, literally, that's like a thumb rule. Like it's kind of like that's a quick calculation that people can do. Once you find that, analyze that neighborhood and know what the properties that have been renovated sold in that neighborhood with different characteristics. Now I have like 8 points for those characteristics to make sure that they need to be followed. Just to name a few, it's like the subject property that you want to be buying has, like, the sold homes have to also have the same property characteristic in terms of, if it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, the comps also have to be 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and there are some exceptions where it can be a little bit higher or lower. Similar square footage, similar, year built, within a mile. There's criteria that we follow, right? Once I've determined what that resale value is, and I see numbers of houses being sold, let's just say at 480, 490, 500, 510, 520. Once I see a few, if there's 2 or more homes that have sold, that have been renovated for around that $500,000 mark, I can say, okay, I'll start looking in this neighborhood and I'll start looking for homes that are 300,000 in this neighborhood based on the 70% rule that I just mentioned. Now, that's just the rule of thumb. But to be even more specific, I actually have an Excel formulated calculator that I've got, and I make sure on that calculator, it tells me everything: lender fees, realtor commissions, closing costs, rehab costs, purchase price, ARV, everything. So when I press enter, it will tell me almost my exact profit, almost to the cent. So that's kind of how I analyze it, to make sure that, I'm not kind of like, I'm taking the most, like, calculating it to the point where it's almost risk free, you can say. Anything has risk, but it's very calculated.
Yeah, you're running the numbers to make sure that it's all going to make sense. And I think that, we all have to run numbers. Like, you have to do that when you're getting in this line of work, and you have to learn by mistakes. I'm sure you've made a ton of mistakes where, you started off and things didn't end up the way they needed to. And that's part of learning the ropes as far as, the flipping goes. So, Dan, I know we're getting close to the hour right now. So you have a course. So what is your course about? Is that up and live now? You and I have kind of talked about that before. Are you running that now? You want to give some details, and then we'll jump into our segments of what was your break?
Yeah. So it's called the Urban Flip Academy, and it's just under 100 videos. It teaches the step-by-step process of how to fix and flip properties using none of your own money and how to do it remotely. But it also covers on how to fix and hold a property. So after you've renovated it, how to keep a property, to rent it, or then go into short-term rentals. So it teaches the whole process. I also provide tools and resources that you need. I provide personal lenders that I've connected with to students to make their job easier. But if they don't want to use my lenders, I also teach them how to find their own and where to find them, right? Apart from the videos as well, I also provide access to me, my team, and other students in a network to make sure that basically students have their hand held throughout the process. So even once they've learned the process and watched the videos, because they're pre-recorded videos, by the way, and it's lifetime access to the video. So in 10 years, they can rewatch the videos if they want. And if I ever need to update a video, add a video, or add something, they'll be able to log in and see that refreshed page of the extra video or new content. So apart from just the lifetime access to the course, they have lifetime access to the whole network that I provide to make sure they have extra help, because people always have questions. So that's something there. I also provide access to students to tax professionals, to make sure that they're also saving a lot of money in taxes. Because if, just as an example, two people can make $1 million each, but then if one person is paying half of that and only made 500 grand in the end, but the other one's paying 100 grand, who's better off? The person who had that tax strategy done to say, because at the end of the day, if people are trying to learn how to fix and flip, they're doing it because they want to make money. So if now I'm providing them how to deal with taxes the right way, to pay the least amount of tax in the right way, they can make way more money. That's something that I also provide in the course to make sure that, kind of people can benefit as much as possible.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So yeah, tap into Dan and we'll have all your information, all that stuff. We'll talk about that here at the end. So, obviously the show's called The Big Break, and Rafa, I'm taking your line right now. Sorry, bro. Now that the show's called The Big Break, like what was your big break for you in your life that changed the trajectory from where you're at now to where you were before? Maybe a mindset or something that actually happened to you where everything shifted. If you want to give us a quick story on that.
Yeah, I think for me it was very two things that really helped. The first thing is to get a proper schedule of everything I need to do for that week. Like, not just wake up and be like, okay, I'm going to start my day. I need to make sure I wake up early to get all these things done before I can do this, before I could do that, before I do all this. And by the end of the day, I need to do this. Like, if I had it all and I was checking them off, that really helped me to make sure that I can kind of scale up. But the biggest thing, honestly, and I think I mentioned it already, is that mentoring. I invest heavily in mentors now because only with their help I am scaling. I haven't just stopped, even though I can stop doing what I do almost and kind of live comfortable. I still invest in mentors in different fields. Like, I like to flip watches. I've learned how to do that because I invested in a course to learn how to do that. Same goes with other things when it comes to just different mentorships and anything. If it's fitness, honestly, right now, moving to the US, I used to be skinny, and now I've put on some pounds, honestly, and I'm shocked, But I'm going to invest in a mentor, in a personal trainer who knows how to do it, to teach me how to do it, instead of trying to go to the gym and do it myself or figure out online what kind of diet I should have. I'll do it from someone who knows, who has shown that they've done it to others, and they can do it to me. So it's something that I constantly invest in. That's my biggest thing. When I learn that I can get my heart, that feeling of nervousness when your heart is in your stomach, when I managed to overcome that feeling because of investing money into something, not knowing the results from it, which was scary. It's scary for anyone. I'm pretty sure everyone would agree. But when I got past that feeling and I realized that mentorships do work, that's when everything scaled up. When I started just, all right, let's invest in this course. I want to learn that. I did that, and it scaled me up in that industry. So I think that's the biggest break. It was not being scared to invest.
I love that. Even the watch thing. That's crazy. I've never heard of that before. That's really cool.
You know what? There's another crazy one that I haven't tried yet. Is flipping cars, exotic cars.
Yeah, I know people who are doing that right now, actually, and
Oh, yeah?
doing it successfully. Yeah, I know a couple of people who are doing it.
Yeah, I was like, man, you can own a car, drive it, enjoy it, and after a year sell it and still make a little bit of a profit. It's like, man.
Yeah, exotic cars too. You know who just did that? And Hayden.
Hayden, yeah.
My buddy Hayden, he had a Lambo, he bought it, he added some value to it, drove it around, even with less miles, sold it for a profit, which is crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, I know a couple of people are doing that. Cool, man. So what's an actionable step that you can recommend to all the viewers and listeners that have been listening to this episode that they can take the moment they get done listening to this recording or watching this recording, that they can go out and do to get them to this next level of flipping, buying other people's money, whatever it is?
I think the best thing that they can do is, a lot of people are in front of their phones. If you are resting in bed and you got a movie on, most of the time you sometimes still look at your Instagram reels, stories and whatnot. So if you're doing that, why not also kind of, if you're serious about getting into real estate investing, why not spend a few minutes sometimes doing a little bit of research on what is key terminologies in real estate? What is a realtor? Honestly, sometimes we might all know what's a realtor, but some people don't know what's a realtor. And that's not a problem. But find out what's a realtor. What's their responsibilities? What's a contractor? What's their responsibilities? What's a fix and flip investor? How can I get OPM? Get all this information. Start acquainting working your mind so you start knowing terminologies and stuff like that. And if you're genuinely interested to get into it, then start looking for a mentor. I mean, if you want to try and do it yourself, you can try. Mark my words, there will be mistakes that you might be costly mistakes that you might want to avoid. With a mentor, that kind of minimizes those risks. But if you are genuinely ready and you don't want to do it yourself and you want your hand held and helped, look for a mentor out there. Whoever that may be, look for them, do some research on them, make sure that they know what they're doing, and only then get into it and, manage to get into the industry of real estate investing.
I think that's such a good idea, because how many people go out there and they scroll on Instagram and they just scroll through nonsense, right? What everybody should do is go on your Instagram and unfollow all the other BS that you have on there that you shouldn't be following, and follow anything that you're interested in: flipping, house hacking, short-term rentals, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And follow the people who are actually dropping good content, so that when you actually do go in and waste a couple minutes of your day on Instagram, at least you're watching something that you're learning from.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I love that. That's great advice, man. So, Dan, tell us, how can people really get a hold of you right now as soon as they get off of this?
I think the best way where they will always will expect an answer from me is on Instagram. I am there heavily. I respond to people that follow me, that don't follow me, people that message me sometimes that still don't follow me. I respond to them. Sometimes I'm on my phone all the time, and always clicking gets to the point where it's tiring. So I sometimes even like to respond with voice notes. I'm like, hey, I know I don't know you, but it's just easier for me to just respond with a voice note. And people are like, wow, like you're actually responding to me? I'm like, of course. Like, I get passionate talking about real estate. So if anyone wants time out of the day to learn about real estate or learn something about it, I mean, if it's genuine, if it's not something that you're trying to waste time, like, I'm happy to help you. So if they go onto my Instagram, which is the Dan Zhukov, TheDanZhukov, I'm sure you guys are going to put it there. They can reach out to me and just get connected, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So there it is, folks. Dan coming from London. He's got this cool accent. Hello, mate. Oh, wait, is that Australian? I think I just said Australian. I think I just had an Australian accent.
No, that can work. Hello, mate. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, I wish I had that accent,
That can
man.
work.
But Dan coming here, he's been flipping for quite some time. He's using other people's money now. Yeah, for those of you that are watching or listening, please share and like our, the Big Break Show. That helps with the algorithm, helps us kind of get up to the top so more people can learn how to invest, more people can go to mentors like Dan and figure out how to kind of continue to move up in this space or just get started in general. So please like and share this with people that you care about or resonate with. Or maybe you might not like this episode, but somebody else might. So make sure you share it. But Dan, we appreciate you for being here, bro. You and I, like I said, I'm sure we're gonna be doing some deals again in the future. But I appreciate you for being here, man.
Thank you so much, guys. And I appreciate you taking out the time as well with me today and allowing me to share my story. Thanks so much, guys.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
Awesome.
Take care, man.